he will enter wicked, unpleasant, infamous, tyrannizing over Mesopotamia, all friends made by the adulterous lady, the land dreadful and black of aspect.
This is Century 8, Quatrain 70. An army of crusaders has never, in the times of the Crusades, ever set foot in Iraq. That is the ancient name. Mesopotamia is the name of Iraq.
Researchers believe Nostradamus sees the Iraq War as a religious battle. Another quatrain has been linked to this one as part of a larger prophecy.
The great host and sect of the cross will be massed in Mesopotamia, of the nearby river the fast company that such law will hold for the enemy.
Soldiers of the Cross, Crusaders. President Bush called the war on terror a great crusade. But the key to understanding this prophecy is, how do you define the final line? He's saying that America will lose in Iraq.
I think the most important thing that Nostradamus is saying about this time period is beware. The wars, the religious fundamentalism. There's no quatrain from Nostradamus saying, and they all lived happily ever after and worshiped the same God. He doesn't say that.
Nostradamus predicted a legion of problems arising in our times. The recent and devastating downward spiraling of financial markets is another crisis currently plaguing the world. According to some, this too appears to have been anticipated in Nostradamus's quatrains.
Within the closed temple the lightning will pierce. It injures the citizens within their fort. Horses, cows, men, the wave will hit the wall. Through famine, drought, under the weakest arm.
If you think of the closed temple being the stock exchange and the temples of money on Wall Street, then they have been struck by lightning. They've been demolished, in fact. And so we catch the sense of this, of the dismay and the disruption caused by the economic disasters of recent months.
Nostradamus says that there will be mobs of people who will storm the banks trying to get their money back, but the banks will be closed, the money will be useless, and will be thrown out and burned like paper. Basically, banking systems are going to come to an end.
As painful as a financial meltdown and war are to endure, some wonder whether they are a mere prelude to what awaits in 2012.
Many new diseases that have cropped up in the last 20 years that we simply have no medical cure for. The depletion of vital resources and the violent competition for what people believe are the few remaining resources that are left, leading to wars, regional wars that the experts were concerned could actually become global wars. To the best of our knowledge, this has never happened in human history, and all of them must be solved within the next 8 to 10 years. That makes our time in history very, very unique.
The Lost Book contains one last piece of information that may be the final deciding factor that reveals whether 2012 will be an end of violence or a time of violent end. Are ancient cultures sending a resounding message of deep importance? Is a cataclysmic event on the all-too-near horizon? Man's awareness of his own mortality is central to his interpretation of the past and his expectation of the future.
Past cultures had the idea that, okay, a culture will exist for a time. Even the Roman Empire can't last forever. But that there would be something afterwards. There would be a period of disturbance. But it's only very recently that we've come around to the idea that there may not be anybody after us, that we may actually be able to destroy all life on the planet. And there can't be any accident about the fact that this idea becomes common currency at the same time as this whole idea of the galactic alignment and the end of time and so forth.
All of these traditions are pointing to our time in history, some in generalities, some in specifics, and they're all telling us that this is the time that they have been planning and anticipating, fearing, and preparing for a very long time.
For some, the last Lost Book image sends a simple but unmistakable message that failing to heed its warning may have devastating consequences.
This is saying we can either continue on like we're going, and the book of life will keep going and being written, or there's a chance that we may not go on, and we may be facing some kind of extinction event.
At sunrise, one will see a great fire, noise and light extending towards the north. Within the earth, death and cries are heard. Death awaiting them through weapons, fire, and famine.
Nostradamus is trying to scare us into not destroying ourselves. Nostradamus is trying to scare us to stop oceans from rising, stop our children from dying of starvation, stop our climate from going out of control.
There have been world ages and world civilizations that have failed and failed to change, and they were completely wiped out. Even their memory has been wiped out to us. But it's saying, hey, this is also happening even today, that if certain changes are not being made now, you could be the next Atlantis.